Hello, you reached the Vine Network, and tonight I want to discuss why trade with China and the United States is a win-lose situation. Furthest thing from a win-win situation you could find. China is winning, America is losing. We're losing jobs, we're losing factories, industry, and we're losing our salaries. We're increasing the size of government. We're increasing the load on the national deficit because the private sector is shrinking. Our government is receiving less taxes. Taxes from government jobs do not count because 70%, uh, roughly now, that's just an estimate, roughly 70% or more of a government worker's salary is paid for by taxes pulled in from the private sector, which is shrinking. Again, if you're working a government job and you cannot generate enough money to pay for your own salary and the car you drive and the building you're staying in and the heating and cooling bills and all this, then you're not, benefiting the system. You're pulling down the system. And I don't want to be negative here. I don't want to seem negative. There's a certain amount of government jobs that we need, and everybody that's got a job, I'm happy for you. Trust me, I'm happy for you. What I'm saying here is that overall, private sector jobs is the lifeblood of a country. It's the lifeblood of the system. If we didn't have taxes, it wouldn't matter. If there was no such thing as taxes, nobody paid taxes, we just printed money, none of that would matter. But since it does, since we do pay taxes, the private sector jobs, the 30% that comes out of their salary goes to pay for our federal government and our programs and salaries of government workers and politicians and so forth. Where else does the money come from? It comes from taxes from private sector workers. Government salary taxes does not pay for itself. All right, I got off the subject temporarily. Let me jump back over here. Tell you why. It is a win-lose situation to trade with China. The income of those people is less than half of what our income is, our minimum wage. Therefore, trade with them is very unfair. In order for us to compete with them, our salaries have to decrease. Because of supply and demand, their salaries are increasing a little bit. They're still around $3 an hour, from what I understand, or less, which is less than half what our minimum wage is here. But they can build something over. They can ship it here, and it's still, 40% less than American-made product. That puts our factories on serious compromise to going out of business, because if they cannot sell those shirts, if they cannot sell those light bulbs, if they cannot sell that ductile iron pipe, if they cannot sell some of these things, then because of the things being imported from China, not only China, any country that their income of the people is less than ours and that have factories in their country, they're shipping that stuff over here, and it costs half of what an American-made product is. They are forcing our companies to pay their employees more to struggle. Not only them, but also the EPA and ADECA, OSHA, all these organizations that fine small businesses, big businesses. You know, there is a purpose for that. I understand. Safety is very important. The environment is very important. Do not misunderstand what I'm saying, but I'm just saying that does not exist over in China. Okay, they don't have those regulations. They don't fine people for doing things. If someone dies on the job, it's probably not near as big a deal as it is here in the United States. I mean, somebody might get a slap on the hand. I don't know. From what I understand, it's not a big deal. All right. So it's just bad overall. It's just bad. Our private sector is shrinking. That's a bad thing. Our salaries are shrinking. The middle class is shrinking. Michael Moore says it's because of big business and all that profit thing and it's capitalism. Let me tell you, Michael Moore has some good points, but the real thing that's happened here is nothing to do with the big business, okay? It has to do with We should not be able to compete with unfair competition. And systematically, over a period of 40 years or more, our salaries have been decreasing, our factories have been closing down. And sure, the CEOs, they're exporting our jobs to other countries, but how else are they going to compete with China? You got this stuff coming into this country that costs half of what an American-made product is. And yeah, they've got to get their bonuses. Yeah, I understand that. And that's not a good thing. They take advantage, yeah, and a lot of people do. What politician do you know in office that doesn't take advantage of some perks once they get in office and make money off of that? Not too many of them. There are some good ones out there, but the system corrupts so many of them after they get in. But I try to be an optimist and think that there's good politicians that do not take money under the table, that do not let lobbyists influence their policy making decisions to vote for something that's really bad for our country uh, instead of doing the right thing. I try not to think such thoughts, okay? But sometimes those thoughts do sneak in my mind because it's obvious to see some of that stuff going on. All right. So anyway, that's the end of this tonight. I wanted to explain why the Chinese are not going to be buying our products because we can't even afford to buy our products. So if we have a product that's made here in America and we ship it halfway around the world, uh, and we can't even afford to buy it here, we're buying Chinese-made products. What makes you think they're gonna buy it, when they make half the income or a third of the income as us over there in China? Plus, we've added shipping charges to it to ship it on a boat over there. And they've got a state-run media that's not saying, hey, buy American. Okay? They're aggressively trying to get into our market for us to buy their products. What makes you think they're not going to be telling their countrymen, buy Chinese-made products? That is my point. And you can debate with me. I'd love to see your comments here. If you have some kind of hidden information where, Chinese, those people over there, just the average salary is just, 10 times what our salary is, and they got 1.3 billion people that are buying just 10 times the products from us that we're buying from them. Hey, I'd love to hear that, but common sense tells me that's just not going to happen. You say what you want. I will listen, but from what I understand, China, a lot of the people there are poor, and they're simply just not going to buy our products. So anyway, that's all for tonight on this subject. We'll move on. I hope you have a good Christmas, and we'll catch up with you soon.